guys remember when the Eagles were talking to the Ravens about trading for Chuck Clark? You remember that? Well, it's time for the little guy to get back on the phone and make it happen. Dallas still stinks. By the way, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. Do you hear that voice? Do you hear that voice coming up from 95 North? Do you hear it? It is one Chuck Clark asking, screaming for a trade. Do you remember when he asked for a trade with the Baltimore Ravens after they drafted Kyle Hamilton? Then the Eagles and the Ravens were talking, and we actually almost landed him. Well, it is time for Howie Roseman, Howie Vision. We're all just living in it to get on the phone and figure a way to make it happen. Come on, Howie. Come on, little guy. Get it done. Now, before we get into all of this, I gotta say, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure to like. More importantly, make sure you subscribe for daily Eagles content, NFL content. We do this all year, as well as we stream every Eagles game. And if you've been subscribed for a while, you know the deal. Double check, double moonwalk check, and make sure you're still subscribed, because you know how YouTube does me. You know what I'm saying? All right. So here's what I want to talk about today. There's a few things. The first thing is Chuck Clark, because Chuck Clark recently came out and said this. Ravens safety Chuck Clark confirms he requested a trade following the Kyle Hamilton selection. Quote, "If I'm not going to be a starter, it's going to have to be taken from me." Now, what he's saying there is he's talking about how he went and requested an actual trade from Baltimore after they drafted Kyle Hamilton. And basically, it didn't work out. He didn't get traded. He's there now. So now his approach is, well, he's gonna have to beat me out for the starting job. But the more important thing is if a trade was to come his way, I don't think he would mind. And we know from the past that the Eagles and Ravens have actually engaged in discussions for Chuck Clark. This has happened. The Pound Ravens and Pound Eagles discussed a trade for safety Chuck Clark during the draft, according to at Kaplan NFL. Ravens showed interest in wide receiver Jalen Reagor, but talks died down. This was a tweet from May 12th, 2022, okay? So, the Eagles and the Ravens got together, or were talking about a trade for Chuck Clark. It is my opinion, especially right now, where the Eagles are going into their third preseason game, and you've got to think, Jalen Reagor is on the outside looking in right now, right? He's not one of your top four in your depth charts. He probably could use a change. And the perfect place for him to possibly go would be Baltimore. They need more receivers. They could use the help. It may be a perfect fit for him, a perfect change of scenery, and what would be best for his career. While the Eagles could add a safety. Chuck Clark, he's 27 years old. He would be a perfect addition to us. And here's why I say it. Because right now there's a lot of questions about the Eagles and the safety position, okay? Because, one, Epps is really trying to do his own thing. And even Sirianni said Epps is the leader at safety. So he's already the leader despite you having, veterans and Anthony Harris and Jaquiski Tartt. They still view Epps as a leader at the safety position. I'm not so sure the Eagles are all that happy with Anthony Harris. I'm not so sure Jaquiski Tartt makes his team. He missed how many countless practices for personal reasons. It's none of my business, but he did miss a lot of time. He played last week. I thought he played decent. But I think Jaquiski Tartt, going into tomorrow's preseason game, I think he's playing for his life in Philly, because he could be a cut casualty. He could totally be a cut casualty. And, when you look at the depth at the safety position after Anthony Harris and Jaquiski Tartt, you have guys like Chichara, who I like, I think's got potential. Blankenship, I think, has done some nice things. Kevon Wallace, we don't know where Wallace is. A String, where's Wallace, String? Where's Wallace? You know what I'm saying? Where's Wallace? So, to me, if you could add a guy who would come in like Chuck Clark and start right away, it would dramatically improve the safety position. I have a few positions I think, are causes for concerns or where we have to look to improve. The number one the biggest concern I have on this team, really on this roster, is the returners. I don't think you have a punt returner. I don't think you have a kick returner. I think that's the biggest need. But how are you going to get that? And then, I've talked about the running back, and I'll be talking about the running back again shortly. And then, of course, the tight end number 2 and safety. I think that you could use a safety. If you got Chuck Clark, he comes in, he is an instant starter. Okay, I would have him. You can then move on from some of these guys. Maybe you let Anthony Harris go. Maybe you let Tart go. Whatever. But you have a guy who's 27 years old, who's a legitimate starter and the best safety instantly on your team. So if the Eagles have an opportunity to get Chuck Clark, they got to do it. Now, what was the trade that was being discussed? This is the question, because the rumors we heard about the trade when the Eagles and the Ravens were talking, it was the Eagles that didn't do it. Now, if the trade was, as some people speculate, Chuck Clark for Jalen Reagor, and the Eagles didn't do it, then they should have their head examined. Okay? Then they're gogooses, because I would have done that so fast. I'm telling you, I would have been hauling ass up 9-5. Go and get Chuck Clark if I could for Jalen Reagor straight up. I don't think it was that. I think the Ravens wanted a draft pick and Jalen Reagor for Chuck Clark, and the Eagles said no. That's the only thing that makes sense. But now we're in a position where we're getting ready to go in the regular season, and I think the Ravens probably still feel that they could use a receiver. We know Jalen Reagor needs out. So I think this is like the perfect time to possibly pull the trigger, or at least revisit it. All I'm asking is give Baltimore a call, see if this is something that they would consider. Has Kyle Hamilton been so bad that they don't want to get rid of Chuck Clark? I know everybody made a big deal when he was getting beat in practice. I didn't put a lot of stock into it. Okay, I think Kyle Hamilton is going to be a pretty good player. Ravens usually hit on their draft pick, so I'm sure he'll be good. And does that make Chuck Clark expendable? I think at this point, after hearing what Chuck Clark said about how he did request a trade, there's got to be part of him that wouldn't mind going out or wouldn't mind being moved. The Eagles would be the perfect place. I mean, just think how appreciated he would be in. He would come to a place where he's wanted and he's needed, and there is nobody he has to be looking over his shoulder for, okay? So I think the Eagles should try to jump on an opportunity to go out and trade for Chuck Clark if possible. But listen, there's going to be a couple potential trades coming up, I would say, after the last preseason game, through the Eagles making that final cut on the 53-man roster. And really, actually, a few days after that, too. But I look for the Eagles to make possibly 2 trades by the time we go into week 1. Okay? I think running back, there's a potential. And then one of these defensive backs. I could totally see it. Now, they may, maybe they don't make a trade and they just sign a guy off waivers or free agency, or maybe they call Jordan Howard. That's all possible too. But, I mean, Chuck Clark's a player. He's an instant starter on this team. It's worth revisiting the trade. We know that Baltimore flirted around with this. They and the Eagles were talking. They were at some point in negotiation. Has Jalen Reagor done anything or done enough in preseason or in training camp to make people think, hey, let's take a chance on him? I would give up Jalen Reagor. I would say I'll give you, at this point where we're at with this team and what the Eagles have built, I'd say I'll give you Jalen Reagor and a 4th or a 5th round pick, and that would be my offer. It'd be something like not 4th and 5th, 4th or 5th. So I would do something like that. I would definitely do something like that. But will the Eagles? I don't know. We'll see. But it's worth revisiting. The other thing I want to talk about is tomorrow going into preseason, I want to see Carson Strong. There's a lot of talk about Carson Strong, right? And Nick Sirianni, it's interesting, right? Let me pull this up real quick because I think this is kind of interesting. Mike K said, today, Pound Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni was asked about keeping 2 or 3 quarterbacks. He praised Gardner Minshew and Reed Sinnett. Why would you praise him? Chin strap. And didn't even mention Carson Strong. So he praised Minshew, Reed, Hurts, didn't mention Strong at all. Strong received the biggest contract guarantee among undrafted free agent rookies. He's thrown 1 pass in preseason. And this is what Nick Sirianni said. Zach Berman asked him, do you prefer keeping 3 quarterbacks on the active roster? What's the debate there between 2 and 3? And then Nick Sirianni says this, it just all depends. It all depends on your roster situation in general. Sometimes it doesn't even come down to who the quarterbacks are. It comes down to some of the roster things. I've had 2 at times. I've had 3 at times. I'd say more probably so on the 2 side than the 3 side, to be quite honest with you, but that just depends on a lot of different things. I think Gardner had a really nice day yesterday as well. I think Sinnett had a good camp throughout. So I'm happy with the situation we have right now. So he didn't even mention Carson Strong. They barely played Carson Strong. Now, if you want to tell me Carson Strong came in and has looked that bad and that horrible, then why would you keep him on the roster? If he's that bad first week in a training camp, I'm cutting him and I'm getting another quarterback in on the roster. Okay, I'm bringing another quarterback in. They didn't do that. They kept him. Then they put him out there and had him run the ball, 1 throw. I'm telling you, I feel like the Eagles are trying to stash this guy, and that they're afraid if they cut him and play him in preseason where teams have tape on him, that when they cut him, somebody will claim him. And the Eagles don't want that. They don't want tape on him. They want him to get through waivers, and then they want to bring him back on the practice squad. I think that's what this whole thing is about. If not, and he was that bad, then you just cut him. That's what you do. So tomorrow, I think Carson Strong should play the whole game. He needs to play the whole game unless they're trying to stash him. If he doesn't play, hardly plays, then I'm sorry. They're trying to stash him. And I hope they do, because he's got a big arm. But I don't know what kind of quarterback he is. We watched him throw 1 ball. So we have to see. But it's the only logical conclusion that I have. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. And remember, it's how we vision. We're all just living in it.
It. 5, 4, 3.
Move, ref! Move, ref! He's got in the way! No, the ref got in the fucking way! Again! No! The ref got in the fucking way! No! The ref got in the way! He got in the way again! Yes! What the hell? You son of a bitch! You fat motherfucker!
These referees are
horrible,
bro.
I'm about to flip everything in this
You saw them run the hell off the field, didn't you?
You got a second time!
The fucking ref was in the way! Look at this shit! Look at that! Look at the ref! Did you see what the ref just did? What the hell was that? What the hell was that?
What the hell was that? In my life.
The ref knocked him out the way!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh my
God! Nah, that's some bullshit!
Oh my God!
Nah, fuck that shit!
Oh my God!
Garbage.
That was garbage!
That was some bullshit.
That was some booty! You got out of the way again! We had enough time for 1 more play! We had enough time for 1 more play!
You gotta be fucking kidding me right now!
We had enough time for 1 more play!
We had enough opportunity even with the officials being as bad as they were to win this.
The fucking ref got in the way!
San Francisco.
Look at that shit!
What the fuck
Look
was
at that
that?
shit!
What the fuck was that?
The
We
ref
were
got the
literally
quarterback
set.
down!
We had enough time for 1 more play!
You come for me, I come for you. pause. That's a big pause. That didn't come out right. But you know what I'm saying. I'm coming for his meats. Denzel Washington